Hey, you guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Steven, accompanied by Queen Taylor, and today we're going to be looking at understanding European soccer
It's football.
in 4 simple steps, a guide for us Americans.
Wow.
Because honestly,
We don't play.
this kind of spurred on because Taylor was talking about, hey, let's do a series on weird American, or not weird American sports, but weird sports from around the world.
Yeah.
Because we both hate American sports. We do.
And not that soccer is a weird sport, but this is kind of the intro going into that.
It's football.
Yeah.
They consider it football, where American football is those dudes tackling each other, giving each other back rubs and patting on the butt. No, that's baseball.
That's every sport.
The patting on the butt, that's baseball. So in any case, there's a lot of American sports that I don't really care for. So football is interesting. I also have a coworker that spent 18 years in Europe. He actually was born there, and he came over to America, and he talks about like Liverpool and all these football, and I can't get involved. I want to talk about Messi.
You just got to learn about it first.
I got to learn about it first. So you guys, we're going to check this video out. So let's hop on over and let's see if we can learn some stuffs.
They're learning a lot tonight.
Welcome to Understanding Soccer in Europe in 4 Simple Steps, a guide for Americans. Although from the outside it may seem complex and confusing, to understand how soccer works in Europe,
You're going
you
too
really only
fast.
need
I
to
know, I'm
4
trying to
things.
process.
Number 1,
Damn.
each country has its own soccer league. Seasons run from August to May, in which each team plays every other team twice, once at home and once on the road. Games are divided into 2 45-minute halves, and when the game is over, the winner is awarded 3 points, the loser 0, and in the event of a tie, each team gets 1 point. After each team has played all the other teams twice,
Meh.
the team with the most points is crowned champion of the league. They get a big
Oh.
trophy, a parade, and the season is over. There are no playoffs.
Yeah.
Sort of. But more on that in a minute. Before the books are closed on the season, there is still one small bit of housekeeping to be done. Number 2, relegation. We'll use the German league as an example. Every year, when the German league has concluded and the champion has been crowned, the 3 teams with the least amount of points are kicked out of the league. This process is known as relegation.
Damn.
The 3 vacant spots are subsequently filled by the top 3 teams from Germany's 2nd division. And unlike, say, baseball in the US, teams in the 2nd and subsequent divisions are not owned by teams in the top division. Imagine if the
Wow.
Pittsburgh Pirates or Oakland Raiders had to fight at the end of each season just to stay in the league. What if instead of coasting to the bottom for better draft picks, they were fighting to the bitter end to avoid the $40 million revenue loss that relegated teams suffer in the first year alone? Not to mention the
Yeah,
fact
no
that in
kidding.
England, 9 different teams have gone financially insolvent within 5 years of relegation. Okay,
Wow.
interesting enough, you're thinking. But what about that whole lack of playoffs part? Number 3, each country also holds an elimination-style tournament, referred to as a cup. But instead of being held after the 9-month league is over, cup games are scheduled in between league games, normally in the middle of the week. One additional
interesting.
perk about the cup system is that teams from all levels, down to semi-professional and even some amateur teams, are invited to play, and if they do well, can progress, and occasionally even knock off a top team. So every year, these midweek elimination games continue until there are only 2 teams left, who play each other in the cup final.
Question. Maybe he'll answer it. If you win the cup, can you still win the season? Right? That confused me when you said that any teams can be a part of the cup and like a lower team can knock off like a bigger team.
Yeah.
So how does
yeah,
that
if they
work?
worked their way all the way up and beat the number 1 team somehow.
Yeah, the number 1 in the score of the season.
So he was talking about Germany in that example.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. It's a lot to process like quickly. I'm
It is.
trying to like listen to what he's saying and watch the pictures, and it's going fast. I'm like, whoa.
I feel like I need pen and paper.
I know.
We
I
have
feel
to
like
write
I
this
watch
down.
this a second time, then it'll click. Right now, it's like bits are clicking, but
Yeah.
I just need a second time to like,
It's like reading a textbook.
yeah.
After 90 minutes, a cup champion is crowned, they get a trophy, and a parade. So, between the league and cup games, we get a great picture of who the best and worst teams in each country are. But wait a second, you
Okay.
ask. What would happen if the best teams from each country in Europe all got together and played each other? Good idea. Number 4. The resulting competition is called the UEFA Champions League, and it is without a doubt the single greatest club competition of any sport anywhere in the world, period. Think of the NCAA tournament, but with better quality of play, more than double the fan base, and quadruple the enthusiasm. And yes, Europe even has their own version of the NIT as well. So, through a complex and drawn-out process, teams from all over Europe compete just to qualify for this tournament. And starting each September, the top 32 teams are put into 8 groups of 4. Each team plays the other members of its group 2 times, once at home and once on the road. Come December, the winner and runner-up from each group move on to the knockout round.
Oh my
This
goodness.
is where club soccer is at its finest. Teams are paired up individually and again play 1 home and 1 away game, with the winner from each pair moving on to the next round until only 2 teams remain. The Champions League final is then held as a single game each year in May. And unless it's the World Cup year, this is the most important soccer game of the year. After 90 minutes, a champion is crowned, the trophy is awarded, parades commence, and all clubs go on break
After
until the madness
90
fires
minutes?
back up again in August. So, to review, number 1, each country has its own league.
Yes.
Number 2, the worst teams are kicked
Regulation.
out of the league and replaced by the best teams from the next division down. Number
Okay.
3,
Pause.
throughout the year,
This might be really stupid, but I'm processing. If they go through all this, there's number 1 team.
Mhm.
Why do they even kick anybody else that, like the last, what was it, 3 or 4 teams? Why do they even kick them off?
It's the
Just so they
bottom
can
of
go
the seed.
through?
It's the bottom of the seed in the regular season.
Yeah.
So in the regular season, if I understand this correctly, so typically I'm going to use the American Football League here. Typically, we have the college football,
Mm-hmm.
right? So college American football. If the bottom teams, like let's say the Oakland Raiders, suck this entire season, they get the first round draft pick to pick the best college player to help their team get better for the next season. And what he's saying here is if the lowest teams of the season, so with the point system, so the top team had 91 points in his chart, the bottom team had like 60 something points, they would fall off and then would be replaced by another division. Like, I don't know if it was the highest in that division or like a lower league
I think they said the second division of the
Yeah.
winning teams.
would bump up and play in that like main league. So
So it's not done. Just because they have the number 1, it's not actually done yet. I don't know how to word what I'm like trying to say.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you have basically 2 leagues which is killing me, and I forget the name of it, the UEFA
Yeah.
league, which is like the best of the best. Everyone who's either won the cup or have won their seasons get into that. But you also have to remember they're talking about countries, and there's like 1 billion freaking countries out there in Europe. So all the countries teams, and they broke it down into 32 teams, play in that league. But then you also have the cup. So like, has there ever been a scenario where someone who didn't like the mid tier, like what happens to the mid tier teams that didn't quite win the season, but they're like 4th, 5th, they didn't win the cup, do they still get into that UEFA champions? I don't know. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but
Okay.
ask your question.
I'm just a tiny bit lost. So the season is not, because the way I'm thinking this is like, okay, they talked about, again, Germany, for the example, being number 1. So I feel like when they've got number 1 and they've got teams that are bad enough to get kicked off, like that's the end. So what is the purpose of kicking them off and having a new team like bump up in their place? So it's not the end. They play more.
Well, 'cause they said that it starts from, I don't know if it started from August till May.
Yeah.
So I think the bottom teams, it is done. I think it is done until the next regular season comes into play, which will start back up in August. So if you suck and you get cut, tell me if I'm doing this right, then you don't play again until August time rolls around, right? But the winning team gets to continue playing in the cup games and in the other league that has like all the all-stars in it.
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine, like, because we're so used to having strict like Super Bowls and World Series, like just a schedule. And I also don't think that any American sport runs this long. Like they only had 4 months off.
Yeah, and I'm not like a big sports fan anyway. The only sport that granted I watched baseball when I was like a kid and a like preteen, but the only sport that I watch like as an adult is hockey, and I don't really know anything about sports. So
It's pretty crazy.
maybe it's like I just don't know enough, but
we do have 30 more seconds, so let's see if he wraps this up nicely.
Each country also holds a playoff-type tournament called a cup. And number 4, the UEFA Champions League is a tournament involving all of Europe and is the most important competition in all of club soccer.
Did I say that right the first time? The UEFA? When I was talking
I don't
about
know. I think you said EUFA.
Man,
I don't know. Maybe
I don't know.
Babe, I was trying to process that whole time.
Because if I did, that's impressive. So yeah, you guys, there's a lot more I have to process. We might be watching a football game.
Yeah, I like how it's understanding European soccer in 4 simple steps, and I'm like, those 4 simple steps were not simple enough for me because I still don't know.
Yeah, that's like a lot.
I've got questions.
It's a lot to wrap your head around, especially so like, I feel like baseball is pretty simple.
Yeah.
You get home runs to score, and it lasts for like 100-something days, and then you have a World Series with the best teams. So I don't know. Playoffs are a thing. It seems like a lot. And again, I don't know if maybe there's other videos, you guys. Send us some videos, some recommendations to help us get our minds around, because I would like to be able to speak intelligently to my coworkers about European football.
Wait, because when they showed the bracket, so that's like March Madness with basketball.
Yes.
Which I don't really know anything about other than
bracket.
I used to have a job and they would give us a bracket and we would fill ours out, and whoever won like a prize. And I didn't know a dang thing about basketball, but I just picked whatever name felt good to me at the time. But that's obviously something like the same thing where like 2 teams play and then the winner goes to play on.
So I think the cup, the country's cup, right? So all the best teams in that country. I don't know if it's like a World Cup scenario. I think that's what the UEFA is the World Cup.
Yeah, that's the vibe I was getting.
The country cup, and I think they're both brackets, but I think within the country, all the best teams in that country fight amongst each other in that one country's cup to be like the next best, team, I guess.
Okay.
And then the World Cup is where all the countries bring in their best teams.
Their best and their runner-up, right?
Yeah. Their best
Then they go in.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like maybe one more video. I'll have it down.
Have it down a little bit. Maybe we'll actually watch one.
Yeah.
And see
I think
what
that'll
the gripe
help.
is.
So I used to have, when I was a activities director in a nursing home, I had a resident that was from Italy, and he watched soccer, football a lot. And he would always try to like get me to go watch it with him and, like teach me about it. But I unfortunately just never really had the time. But I watched a couple minutes here and there with him, but not enough to like learn the rules of it or anything like that. But
so I know that this isn't like a weird sport.
No.
And we will get down the rabbit hole of the weird sports, like that one where they like shovel and the ball's going down.
Oh, the ice one?
Yeah.
Oh my God, what is that called?
That's a weird one. But there's even like weirder stuff.
Yeah, there's one in a country where I don't remember what country it is, and I don't know if it's like a one time a year thing, but something with like a greased pole, and you have to like climb this greased pole, and then like I think there's a pig involved.
That's weird.
That's a little wild.
That's a little wild, and like
maybe that's not technically a sport.
Yeah.
But maybe it is.
I don't know. So we'll look around the world and see the weird sports. I'm sure there's some crazy stuff.
Sports if you know of any, or if they've your country, wherever you're from, has any wild, weird sports like that, send them our way and teach us about soccer.
Yes,
/ football.
We're just a couple Americans trying to learn. And also leave down in the comments, what's your favorite? Who are you rooting for?
Yeah.
Who's your football team? We did the football chants video, so I want to see if there's a bloodbath in the comments. Go Liverpool, I guess. I don't know. Munich. Anyways, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you had fun, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
I felt dumb.